Jack DeLongchamps, the Pencil Man, Pencil Podcast founder, 11.7 on the pod. We've been glowing about his anticipated presence on this program. We're both honoring you with pencils. Kyle Schassburger, David Kahn here with Jack the Pencil Man himself. Dude, is Teal Ninja home safely? 25 consecutive hours? Are you kidding me? You couldn't break that up over a couple of days?
I'm an all-in guy. First off, breaks, just a tear to my eye. You got me crying in a club with you guys showing up with pencils. But then to even know the Teal Ninja name warms my heart. 25 hours and 38 minutes. Who's counting? Haven't slept in 62. Nowhere else I'd be right here. That's how exciting college baseball is. We'll sleep when we're dead, folks.
You sleep when you die. That's one of my personal mottos. Sleep when you die, and if you're not drinking, you're thirsty. And my man, if there's anybody that has earned himself a beverage, and I know you're going to hit the sack hard after this interview, but enjoy yourself a cold one and put yourself out for about 24 hours. So you deserve it, man. You're here to talk about your chronicles, your storytelling, your content, everything you experienced over the last couple of weeks in Omaha, and what a special season it was. A special team in Tennessee punctuating year 7 for Tony Vitello, claiming sports ultimate prize to finish a complete Tennessee rebuild in his 3rd visit in the last 4 years in Omaha. What was different from your perch and this incredible access that you've gained here throughout this year that you were continuing to build upon? The teams, and it wasn't just Tennessee, it was Texas A&M, it was all these players. The entire sport has gravitated towards you in such a unique way, and we'll spend more time on that in the backside of our interview. But from your perspective, what was it that was different about this Tennessee team, and maybe Tony Vitello in particular, as they were able to claim it all, unlike the version 2 years ago in 2022?
It's such a great question. And I think when you look at it from afar and you can kind of digest what the heck just happened, to me, it's so integral to notice that those young superstars that were a part of just like the nemesis of not just college baseball, but professional baseball too. Everyone casting and pointing a target on the back of that volunteer team in 2022. It was Christian Moore and Blake Burke, and they were the villains, and they bought into it. This year, when you look at the cast and crew of dudes, it's a leadership panel. It's a veteran group with stud young freshmen that didn't allow them to be freshmen. They had to grow up immediately. But because you're in this environment of love and care and belief, and I know that sounds super corny, but that old school mantra of like the hard-o coach, it still exists. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I just tell you that the perspective that we see of Tony Vitello, the guy that's screaming and yelling at umpires, when you interview every single player on this team, got the opportunity to talk to Cal Stark right after the game. Tony V said, that's my guy. Cal couldn't keep it together when talking about what Tony Vitello has meant to his career. And to me, it might seem coach speak, and it might seem like, I got to button up and say because the mic's in my face. Folks, I use a pencil. I don't use a mic. We try to get those genuine answers. What is so telling is every single guy that you talk to, starts at the top. I die for that guy. I'd run through a wall for this dude. Every single guy says it starts with 2-2. And for me, when you have this utter belief in who you are, Cal Stark's 0 for 18 in the College World Series. That's our guy behind the plate. I know that defensively he receives it. He's earned the trust of his pitching staff. And then he's a dude that hits a 2-run homer to make sure it gets to a game 3. When you look at Xander Sechrist and Kirby Connell, guys that had little to no expectations going into this year. I know that sounds silly because Kirby breaks the single season appearance record. Xander was a midweek starter, but Kirby was a lefty-lefty specialist. Now he's the high leverage back end guy that nobody wants to face when the game is tight. So to me, we can talk about the star power. It's more so the support staff around Coach Vitello, allowing people in assistant coaching positions to thrive at what they do best, and a leadership group that just wants to succeed. Like, I know that he had that viral clip go nuts after the Super, and he goes, Webster Dictionary doesn't define success. He means it. I've never met someone so genuine and authentic in my entire life. It results in a national championship, but that was a byproduct of just hanging out with those boys in that locker room every day.
And to piggyback on that before Kahn jumps in, and he and I talked about this at length before having you on here to start the pod, is that energy and that authenticity, that genuine nature that you just commented on, that it seems like the team just gravitates towards in such a unique way that is just unparalleled, unrivaled, so hard to mirror across all of college sports. Sure, you can talk it, You can try to be about it, but are you about it? And Tony Vitello and this Tennessee squad just seem to epitomize what it means to be a family, to bring in certain dudes who might have more rough edges and then find a way to iron those out over a course of a season, or in this case, 7 years or 4 years since that generational team, and it all came together on the biggest stage. But TV seems like the ultimate player coach who gets it.
He is. I getting to interview him back in November, and my backstory is trivial to this storyline, but I was a nobody last year, right? Just a guy chasing a dream in a media room, and he answered a question that, like, in the way that he responded, changed my life. He came down, he told me, hey, if I can ever do anything, right? I did nothing to him, but he meant it. I was invited back out in November to Knoxville for the first time to sit down with him, and one of the things that stood out to me in that conversation was, he goes, I loved your question about where there's energy and passion in the game that we see today. Where has his program played a role in today's landscape, right? He goes, I felt like I put a target on our guys back in 22, right? I felt like it was a partially my deal. Now he's got those blueprint culture guys to make sure that it's more player run than coach run. Like, that's the dream, right? He's got this thing on cruise control. And he goes, I still stand by this, right? Some of the antics in 22, like, hey, I want my guys to be my guys. You live and die and fall on the sword, right? He's like, but I would always, and I always choose, I'd rather have to reel back the energy than to feel like I have to push a guy into it and to play with that juice. So, man, you saw a team that, like, from my perspective, was captain led. They patrolled each other. They were always pushing each other in the same direction. And that's when the coach just gets to play chess, not checkers, in the dugout. And I know I said cruise control, but doesn't it really feel like it? Like, who doesn't want to go play for this guy right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And even you hear it when he steps back and lets his coaches handle certain areas of the players. Like, whenever you talk about pitchers, Tony Vitello steps back and says, Frank Anderson. All he does is just push that man into the spotlight where he does not want to be, but he wants to showcase this man and say, this guy is a genius, and everything I do pitching-wise is because of Frank Anderson. So he is the first to deflect himself out of the spotlight and showcase his coaches and his players. So I think you're absolutely right. But let's talk about this group of players in Tennessee, because the thing that stood out the most to me is they seemed hell-bent on finishing the job. You talked about the leadership. There's previous experience in Omaha, 3 of the last 4 years, but they have that disappointment of having all the right ingredients, but they falter. They don't mix appropriately on the grandest stage when their backs are up against the wall. Go to this year, dude. Consider the 4-run 9th-inning walk-off against FSU day 1, game 1 in Omaha. They have to come back from that and the controversial call against Blake Burke. Then you lose game 1 of the finals against A&M when your opener strategy falters for the second straight time, and yet these guys didn't flinch for a second.
It isn't like it's contagious, right, to be around. Like, and it's easy to say, tougher to live by. They don't get nervous, which is, like, super frustrating as a former player. Like, dude, like, they not know that this is, like, a huge moment. They're just cool. I don't know. The kids these days had to coach me up on it. Sexy Red and Glorilla. Yeah, Glow. The songs that are trending all over the place. It was like their song of the summer. Just before game 2, their elimination in the national championship. Drew Beam and Kaveri's Tears are literally in the dugout an hour before the game, dancing to a singer named Sexy Red. And I go, I think they're going to be okay today. Like, I think they're going to be all right. Down 1-0 in the 7th. Sure, watch this. Yeah. Like, they were cool, calm, cool, and collected throughout the entire series. Like, you can say, like, oh, yeah, we love to play in the moment. These dudes were not trying to go out and win a World Series. They were just prolonging their life because they had that much fun playing together. Right? I just make the same argument about A&M, but this Tennessee team, comparative to this little dynasty run that they're making, like, there might be more talent on the teams in the years past, but this team blended together so beautifully that you're right. Like, down 3 in the 9th, whatever. Florida State, dog on the mound, like Blake Burke, check swing, whole place booze, clinical textbook, sling you through the middle of the field. Like, you're right. They didn't flinch in the face of adversity, and it's inspiring as hell to be around when you're in a ballpark around a bunch of dudes that just feel like they're playing wiffle ball in the backyard.
You have the lineup so unrelenting, 1 through 9, right? You got Simo and Burke at the top. But then a guy like Cal Stark, as you said, 0 for 18 or 0 for 16, whatever it was, bomb, with 2 outs in the 8th inning of game 2 to give you the insurance needed to even up that series before ultimately they win 6-5 on Monday. They just kept coming at you. And then, on the mound, you have the opener strategy that worked so well for most of the year. And unconventional as it may be, it was Stamos and Causey, and then you had Beam, and then you had Xander, who was mostly a midweek guy who, maybe became the best pitcher in all of college baseball over the last 5 or 6 weeks and is able to win 2 games. Nobody else did that this year in the Men's College World Series. I think I got it from you or saw it on Twitter. By the way, if you're not following Jack DeLongchamps, follow him on Twitter at J. This is how it sounds. This is how it looks. DeLong, DELONG, and then Champs, CHAMPS, however pronounced DeLongchamps, right? So, in Frank we trust. Okay, they even made T-shirts for Frank Anderson, which speaks to, again, the embrace of all of these guys and all of these pieces working together. And then, Jack, you have Hunter Ensley defying physics and all biomechanical vessels in one's body, leaving his eye black on the left center field wall and contorting his body later on in the event in such a way that has never been experienced by any life form on this planet to avoid a tag at the plate and extend Tennessee's lead to 6-1. Like, what is going on?
Wasn't it just Team of Destiny vibes? Like, wasn't it like the most incredible slide into home? Of course it was going to be the eventual game-winning run. They win by a run, and he was dead to rights at the plate, and he's playing Twister in the middle of Charles Schwab Field. And by the way, playing with a hamstring that is absolutely hanging. Like, you'd see him during warm-ups, go, how's this guy going to go? And then he looks like Christian McCaffrey hitting the A-gap in center field. And you're like, dude, guy's physical is all get out, flies. Like, there were so many fun pieces. And to your point, like in Frank we trust, like to me, there were a lot of question marks. Like, they're not going to go back to the starter, are we? Like, Chris Stamos is a really good southpaw out of Cal. Like, he did it all year for them. Here's the difference in the College World Series. Like, if you don't have it and you see it right away, you make the move. People criticize, right? Oh, what's Tony doing? You didn't watch all year. I got no problem with it, right? You put an A&M team because you believe that your depth, if your Tennessee has depth, you go, I'm going to beat you with a pen. They were that confident. And then I'm going to throw the ace, a first-round arm and Drew Beam, in my opinion. And then game 3, we got the hottest arm in pitching. All the while, like, A.J. Russell was a stud for them. Had to get Tommy John surgery not too long ago. Like, their depth has depth. They're bringing guys out of the bullpen in Hoover with less than 10 innings on the year, throwing 98 to 100. You're like, well, that doesn't seem fair. So, man, to your point, like, Frank Anderson's done a magical job when you talk about the lineup. Like, you use the word relentless. I said all year, I had the whole continent of Australia all over me. This was not a slight at Travis Pizzana. Like, Travis Pizzana is going to play 10 plus years in the MLB. He's an absolute stud. But people slept on Christian Moore all year. Now, granted, I was very biased. They invited me to come out. I'm a loyal dude. I saw Christian Moore BP, and I'm like, this is the most physical second baseman in the history of college baseball. Like, I know I exaggerate a lot, but please, someone tell me
he's a freak. He's a freak. You could say
someone tell me that
you
guy.
See his muscles? Like, look at those freaking gains for Christian Moore. I mean, my God.
My first interview with him, I go, hey, do you think your biceps are the size of my thighs? And he goes, yeah. No. And I was like, right. So like, I know Kyle's kind of in the same boat. Kyle's biceps are bigger than my thighs too. So it's like, dog. Right? So, like, we've got these studs. Blake Burke, who we've painted as Picasso, as this Ken Griffey-esque swing since his freshman year. Like, we've got these superstars that are slept on. They are. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm a draft guy. All I know is, like, I see it and you feel it. Like, how are those two guys, like, not bona fide, like, top 15 picks? All they've done is meet expectations their freshman year when the whole world hated that team. And now they've exceeded them. Christian Moore, the SEC Triple Crown winner, is insane. Like, there are no words to describe how difficult that is when you've got the grouping of Condon and Caglione as well. And then Blake Burke hits a really quiet 379 with 20 homers this year. Like, how are those guys not first rounders? And, like, you haven't even gotten to 3, 4, 5 yet, right? Billy Amick and the clap.
You haven't mentioned the mop.
Right. All of it. Like, give me all of it. I mean, they're so sick. They're so stupid. And it just felt like they were a really contagious group to be around. Like when one dude found a barrel, then another. And then you got to deal with Kavaris Tears, who watching him and Christian Moore take batting practice together, it feels almost like assault with a deadly weapon. Like it really is.
Christian Moore's biceps are a deadly weapon.
Right.
Just to put that out there. But
yeah,
you
but
make a great point.
Tears is built like a running back too. I mean, both of those guys. You're right, Jack.
Oh,
you make a great point though on AJ Russell. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm so sorry. Like how dumb am I, right? All of these names and faces, and we just talked about these two dudes. I got out there early and I had to go talk to their strength coordinator. And I'll bore you with all the details. And as a long story short, I go, yo, you guys must love your Wheaties, bro. These guys are so physical. Like, I want to know who dominates in there. Like, who's different? Like, is it Simo? Like, is it? He goes, nah, bro. It's not even close. I go, yeah, who? He goes, Dreiling. Like, Dylan Dreiling is a freak. We just went a whole conversation and didn't mention the most outstanding players guy. Like, the guy hits a ball 90-degree launch angle to right field with 150-mile-per-hour winds in from right and leaves the yard. And he did it in the most clutch moments, ice in his veins. That's how good this team was. And we didn't even mention Dreiling, the Hays, Kansas native. Like, this dude different. He's going to play in the big leagues forever. That's a testament to how crazy deep this ball club was.
Dude, it really is. And imagine if they had AJ Russell healthy for Omaha, how crazy it would have been. Imagine if this team had Chase Burns this year with what he did at Wake Forest. They had him for 2 years, and he's not on the team that ends up winning the national title. The program and the group that Tony Vitello, Frank Anderson company have built and developed is just so impressive. All right, Jack, a little more on to you because you are the pencil guy. You are pencil talk. You know, that is your thing. You walk up to guys and you put a pencil in front of their face, and the first question you always ask is pencil or pen. And by God, if someone ever tells you pen, you better smack them upside the face with the butt of this pencil and be like, goodbye. That's the end of the interview. But here's my question. You did probably more interviews in Omaha than there were Jell-O shots consumed at Rocco's. And there were 96,000 plus Jell-O shots consumed at Rocco's. It's a lot of interviews for you. This is going to be a hard question for you. What was your personal favorite interview you did in Omaha this year?
Oh, man. Oh, put me on the spot. All right, I'm going to go in a couple different arenas, and I'll lay them all out, and then we'll decide at the end. I know we joke, making the 26-hour drive back gives you a lot of time to digest what just happened. First and foremost, we joke, like I do, it takes a little Ted Lasso-esque, right? Be curious, not judgmental, to walk up to a dude with a pencil, not a microphone, and have these guys buy in. There's a lot of privilege in being able to tell these stories this week. So I'm very thankful for all teams. There were storylines, like for me, getting as close as I have with Jack Caglione. This, in my opinion, is the greatest college baseball player of all time. Accolades, achievements, stats, flush them. This guy is doing things on the college baseball field that have never been done before. And he's the most humble human being I've ever met. Didn't want to talk baseball, wanted to deflect always. And again, it wasn't because he was coached up to do it. It was just very real. So he was like the polished dude that like I ended up giving a hat to just as a token of gratitude. Like, please, thank you. Like, thank you for taking a shot on me. So guys like him and Drew Beam and all those dudes were so much fun to interact with. Two stand out though. Xander Sechrist and Dylan Loy. Loy, a freshman who is almost like the understudy to Xander Sechrist, the goofy, the personality. He has come out of his shell. Xander said that Dylan Loy, the first 2 weeks in the fall, didn't say a word. His first inter squad, he runs out onto the mound, he forgot his belt. Like, this kid was so interested and nervous to be amongst these monsters of the Division I level, right? Couldn't tell. We get them after that Florida State win. And to me, I always said, it's not about the guy holding the pencil. It's about the dudes in front of it. They take the interview over. They give you the best Ric Flair impression. They're going, oh, spots are hot. Oh, this was Dumb and Dumber at its finest. Like, to me, that was the most like pure interview that we put together, where I go, you put it in the hands of the players and you just let them rumble. Like, that's to me where like I can take a big league, major league fan, and I can get him to fall in love with college baseball because it's relatable. I can get a fan of no sports and go, look at these idiots. How can you not fall in love with this sport? That's probably 1-1 off the field. Game 3, I'm doing the Vol walk, getting footage and highlights, and I meet this little guy named Graham. Looks up to Tony Vitello like he's an icon, like the icon he is. It is 108 degrees outside, guys. And Graham has got wristbands on. He's got the fur coat. 5 years old. He's got the daddy hat on. And he whips the jacket off when Tony V walks up, shows him the back. This 5-year-old's got big league pedigree, repping the Tony V jersey, letting him know that, hey, I'm here. And it was the coolest like moment, like watching his dad watch him. It's like, I think anyone who's fallen in love with the game can remember being that age. Like, I'm a big Houston Astros fan. I was Jeff Bagwell for Halloween like 6 years in a row, right? Like, I can remember being that age and loving this. So to me, I got to interview Graham. I said, Dad, I'd love to interview your son. He goes, oh, he knows the pencil talk. Like, Christian Moore's his favorite player. I go, all right, let's do it. He got a little nervous. We asked him his name. We asked him, like, who's going to win the game tonight? And I go, well, who's your favorite player? He goes, Christian Moore. He's going to hit a home run tonight. And he hits a leadoff homer. And it's 108 degrees. And I'm literally got goosebumps from head to toe because little 5-year-old Graham called the SEMO homer. So player interview, I'm going Xander and Dylan Loy. But if you're asking off the field, that conversation with Graham, it kind of was so perfect and romantic and why we fell in love with this game. So he was probably my favorite interview off of it.
I love that. We've got a series of questions here as we conclude with you over the next 5 minutes. I know you're tired, man, but like your backstory and how we got here and you sharing those incredible moments and everything you were able to experience this past week. I mean, this is excellent intel, peek behind the curtain type stuff. And we certainly respect and appreciate everything you've done to help grow the game. We're trying to do the same as well. And like little Graham, or I guess Dylan Loy in this case, I'm not wearing my belt today, and I have you on the show for the first time. So, and I still dress up like Ken Griffey Jr. at least every other year for Halloween. Yeah. Even if it might not be a Griffey jersey, I'm still a baseball player and I'm channeling my love affair with Ken Griffey growing up in the 90s for sure. So I get that. For those that aren't familiar with your story, okay, explain how a guy who was playing D1 baseball at the mid-major level just a few seasons ago decided on broadcasting. And I know, nothing has come easy. Nothing should come easy for anyone. Right. You've got to work to earn your keep and your place, and you're certainly doing that. And maybe more accurately, this is a total compliment. You were the furthest thing from a household name. You've already admitted you were a nobody a year ago. A nobody.
Still am. Make that very clear.
Well, the humility is there. I love it. And then some dude waving a pencil, is what you've become. Using it as your microphone, becoming a college baseball content pumping machine that's gained such massive notoriety and critical acclaim across the sport. Dude, I compare you to what Pat McAfee has done with college football.
No, man, you're going to stop it. Come on, don't do that to me. You got me crying in the club again. This is the second time.
Dude, it's the energy. It's the enthusiasm. And look, I'm not, I'm just trying to paint the most accurate picture. Like what you're onto is incredible, unbelievable, bucks all the trends. And it's special. It's different. And the players, your interactions and your history as a former mid-major athlete who has played baseball has helped grant you this access as you chase down a dream.
Man, that is beyond kind. And I want to go back to, I appreciate you guys having me on because, I know that, we did a lot of driving, but, I love this stuff. I could do this for the next 2 hours. I'm not tired because my mind is still racing about the craziness that we saw. I do self-deprecate a lot. I think because I come at it with a different energy than maybe some. I was a really below average college baseball player. I loved it so much that I outworked everyone to just stick around. I was a cockroach. I played for 6 years. I was a part of the log problem that we're experiencing today, but I couldn't let it go. So when it was time for me to be done playing, I was really done playing. If you're asking how I got into the broadcast space, it kind of all starts with a scam. I needed an internship to graduate from Charleston Southern University. I'm in the middle of a spring season. I go, I ain't got time to get an internship. But I was always really fascinated with the media side of it. So I go to the sports information department. I go, hey, pregame, postgame write-ups, I'd love to be involved and maybe interview my teammates. Give a little bit of a genuine light to a team that, we're not very good, but maybe we can show you, what it looks like the day in the life kind of thing. I was a terrible intern. I always forgot the microphones, but I always had a pencil. So that's where the pencil was born. Fast forward 2 years later, I'm supposed to internship with the Nationals. COVID happens. I'm getting my master's degree. I come back my 6th year. The pencil comes back. I go, oh, man, Nova, South Carolina, still works. Finish up. I get a job on the water. I'm working, selling sunglasses. I just missed being around the game. So I take a job in Laramie, Wyoming, running a really, really ragtag summer collegiate team. I'm cooking hot dogs. I'm coaching third. I'm umpiring. I basically touched every part of the organization. but I immediately fell in love with a single high iPad cam above the dugout, and they let me talk over it every once in a while. And broadcasting through that, I go, ooh, this is interesting. It's the first time that I got done playing that I go, it's process oriented. I can get better every day. I can work on something. It's never ending pursuit of perfecting this craft. That's what I fell in love with, right? We talked about it off air. This idea that I have this dream, but as long as I'm chasing it in my life, if I never conquer it, we work in sports, right? None of us are like Bobby billionaires, right? This idea, though, that our currency in life is adventure and experience. It's such a privilege to have the experiences that I have. I don't take that lightly. So when I come to these players with these like authentic questions, it's more so out of amazement because I can never do what these guys did, right? And this unbelievable blessing of going like, hey, you're allowing me to show the world, right, my really small bubble, a very vulnerable side of you. I'm very thankful of that. So when I went to Omaha last year, I just started doing college baseball broadcast in the Charleston, South Carolina area, CSU where I played, Citadel College of Charleston. But I go, I want to see if it works, right, in those bigger arenas. And what I found out was to be true. Like, dude, these dudes are all the same. They're all goofballs. Like, they're all crazies, all get out. They're just far more talented than like maybe – but the characters and the personalities are all the same. So last year, sleeping in my whip in the parking lot, like chasing this thing, I go, all right, I got an idea now. And then this last year, fine-tuning it into this vision of what we have seen this week, which is, all right, I kind of know what I want it to look like. What's so prideful in wearing your jersey? Like, what have you taken away from college baseball? So those are the stories that I try to attach to. You sandwich it with some goofy mustache or, I guess like baseball routine type stuff. But I was very blessed this week to interview a lot of guys, and I was able to broadcast, not only in the Charleston area, but in the Carolinas and the ACC this year. So as I've grown with it, it's cool because you're right. Like, I'm still a nobody, but the small, I guess, audience that I have is directly intended to the ears that I want to be listening. That was the coolest part of this week. Like, Tennessee invited me out in November. It was not from an ego stroke standpoint. It was cool that A&M had like heard about it, and their coach was like, "We warned our guys about you. Like, we told them to buckle up. You might not know what's going to be happening." I was like, "That's cool," because sometimes I don't even know what question I'm going to ask. It just kind of falls out. So that was the coolest part of this week. Not the clicks or the likes, more so the fact that these relationships that not only myself but the two of you guys, like, y'all are inspiration to me to study and do my homework because I didn't go to school for this. That cultivating the relationships at the end of the day is the most important part.
It's amazing stuff, man. I mean, just listening to you tell your story, like, it's inspiring to us because I mean, I know I personally love this. I know Kyle loves it as well. Like, just hearing where people come from and how they get into this business, because this is a crazy freaking business. Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, you don't normally fall ass backwards into this business, and some people do. And it's amazing to hear how it just became a part of you, and now it's your brand. Like, you have created a niche for yourself with Pencil Talk in this space that has been around for so long. And you come in, and it's so simple. You just hold a freaking pencil up and talk into a microphone. But sometimes the simplest ideas are the best ones. And you've somehow found a way. Like you said, you were a terrible intern, but you found a way to make it work. Like, so that's truly impressive. I do want to hype on your career as a player a little bit, because I know you said you were a below average player. You were a plus 12, -8 guy. But
yeah, there you go.
Before you went to George Mason to get your master's degree in sport management, use your additional eligibility to play for the Patriots, you said you played at Chuck South. Mm-hmm. Is it true that your first collegiate home run came in your final at bat before transferring on senior day?
Yeah, that is true. We saved the best for last. There was a little bit of theatrics involved, right? But yeah, that was a special day. That was a cool one. What a lot of people don't know, I think someone like at some point in time, because it kind of picked up in this crazy storm where like Scott Van Pelt, like a hero of mine, is like helping tell this story. And then MLB Network, and like someone was like, yeah, he battled a lot of injuries throughout his career. Not true. Like, just didn't hit him. Like, I was 160 pounds soaking wet when I went to college. Like, I had to eat 6,000 calories a day to finally get one out over the fence for a Yabo in my last at bat. But that was one of those days where, like, when you put in the work and you close your eyes and all of a sudden, like, you get to experience those moments. Like, I was very thankful last at bat. Don't look at the score. We were down 7, but that doesn't matter. Whatever. But yeah, that was a special day. My mom actually gave the commencement speech down at the MUSC Children's Hospital. So that was really cool. She became a doctorate that day. And like all of our family was in town for that, not even necessarily the senior day stuff. So like to have family and friends there, like it was just this cumulative, like, I don't know, overflow of emotions with that.
That's so cool. On this podcast, we do what's called SDAs, social displays of affection. We identify, and you understand this as a content man, when teams are appropriately conjuring up the most romantic aspects of the game or throwing shade in the most appropriate ways towards other teams. And, they're very thoughtful and creative, with their content teams. And we love it. I loved what the NCAA did for the Men's College World Series, where they had the videos, and it was so impactful. The players phoning themselves and giving the younger self some advice potentially, and it was very theatrical. It cut deep. It hit the core. I'm curious to stick with the theme here in the concept, playing to your strengths. If you could stick a pencil in front of a younger Jack DeLongchamps and ask him any question at any age, in college, on the diamond, or otherwise, what would it be?
That's a good one. I would probably I'm an irrational Houston Astros fan. It would probably be something Houston related at that age. Like I lived, breathed, like you talked about Griffey. I tried to go to school in like baseball pants and an Astros jersey at that age. But let's go a little bit more cut. How good was the NCAA, by the way? Their content all week was fantastic, like really humanizing these guys. Like the game is growing and they deserve a ton of respect. I know they get crapped on sometimes, but they were fantastic this week. And I use that to buy some more time to think of my answer.
Dude, while you continue to think, thank goodness we met in Hoover. Okay, I appreciate that. At Biscuit Belly, by the way, those tots, I'm still feeling those tots, man. Holy smokes, those tots at Biscuit Belly, off the chain.
That place was magical. That was one of the best breakfasts I ever had. Like, oh man,
had you been there before? Had you been to Biscuit Belly?
I'd never been to Hoover before. I've never been to the state of Alabama before. Like that whole experience.
That is our Sunday championship game spot. We go there the last 2 years. That's become our spot. We went to a different spot, but that spot's now dead to us.
Yeah, they're dead. We won't mention their name. They close.
No, they don't get it mentioned. Biscuit Belly is our spot. So next Sunday championship game, see you there.
Product placement, Biscuit Belly, Biscuit Belly, Biscuit Belly. Shout out to the boys. We're coming to show some love. I'm all in.
Not a sponsor, but you could be a sponsor if you want to be.
That's what I'm saying. That we just gave them some love. They're going to jump on the train for CSN, baby. That place was so good. Hoover was awesome. See, you guys are inspiring the aspiring. You guys are pro down there. I'm just trying to follow suit. If I had to ask myself any question with a pencil, I would ask him to really think about what you're passionate about. I would really ask like a 10, 12, 14, 16, 18-year-old to really think about it. I was always in love with this game, but it was more so like sports in general. Like I love all sports, right? Like we all do, but more so it took me a while to figure out and identify it was the storytelling aspect, which is why we all do this, right? I think there's sometimes like in the social media world where like, because the pencil can come off sticky, that's like my biggest fear. You have these fears of making sure that I'm doing everything I can in the right direction. My other bit, like, I don't ever want it to come off as sticky. Like, if you really listen, like, I promise I'm putting the work and like I'm trying to do justice. So, if I were to challenge 10-year-old Jack, I would ask him to really think about and dive inward and find what it is that you're passionate about. Yes, you love baseball. Obviously, you're dressing up like a nerd every day, going to school in your uniform. But I would ask him to really channel into that storytelling and learn how to project it and tell other story, instead of maybe so hyper-focused on being like the big leaguer. You know what I mean?
I do. That's great. What did you think of Schloss? What was your reaction? Did you have a sense this was going to happen on Monday when news broke of David Pierce officially, baseball's best kept secret, was out? What did you think at that time throughout the day Monday? And did it result in what you expected with him leaving College Station and going to Austin?
I've got so much to say about this. It's so good.
Empty the notebook right here. Give me your thoughts.
I'll do it. So they don't make the move, but like Pierce isn't vocally saying like, yeah, like Texas isn't hitting the portal. They're not like going and finding guys. Guys aren't entering yet. So they're making a move. right? Like they were playing poker with their freaking cards face up, dude. So the longer you wait, the more like when you watch the landscape, you go, oh, they're waiting out 2 teams, right? So the Tony Vitello buzz was kind of rolling. And then like Schloss isn't going to leave. Like he already left TCU. Shout out home field apparel. Like he's not going to leave. That's there's no way the rivalry renewed. You just saw him in the region. Like there's whatever, dude. I'm not even worried about it. I, in my brain, was more thinking like UT to UT. Honest to God. Because I'm like, why are they waiting? Like, are they going to – remember when Mac left the University of Texas on the gridiron and like Texas offered King Midas's kingdom to Nick Saban and the flight tracker? I feel like that was like the first early flight tracker ever was Saban to Austin. That is kind of what I felt like was going to happen from Knoxville to Austin if they were able to win it. Here's my problem with the whole thing. I understand – like I'm never going to like – you want to go chase a bag and do what's best for your family, you're not going to hear me like complain about it. If you haven't made fantastic, congratulations. I thought that there was maybe an opportunity, like maybe he takes the job because like Max Weiner is such a rising star in college baseball. If you're listening along, Max Weiner, the pitching coach of Texas A&M, 29 years old, pro's pro, as good as it gets, household name in 5 years. Watch. Is it like, hey, I'll deuce Chris Del Conte, the AD of Texas' best friend, Max becomes the new head coach at A&M. Win-win everywhere. Everyone will hate Schloss. But if he wins, then you're like, cool, like makes sense. So you have to feel for these assistants like, well, we can't stick around and maybe get hired and then not have a job in 2 weeks. My problem with all of it, though, is that the student athlete is lost again, right? Like, how about the 4th or 5th year guy in Target, like that is putting on his jersey for the final time, lacing up the cleats for the final time. There's already these emotions of my career is going to be over. And the stress and weight of playing for a national championship and a leader of men, the guy that's like your dude, your head ball coach has got 2 feet already out the door. I think it's disgusting. I really do. I think this is going to be a hell of a 30 for 30 or Netflix or whoever wants to buy it out because this feels super slimy. It feels like a handshake over a steak dinner one night. And this has been in the works for quite some time, obviously. Like, wouldn't it be better if he just owned up to it today and goes, it was a scumbag move. I wanted to come and work with my best friend. I feel horrible. We live in a college baseball landscape where I had to do it now and I had to make it work. And this has been going on for quite some time. Like I respect him more, but then he got up there, he lied again. He ripped that poor reporter, which again is a whole other like bag of worms. But yeah, I don't know, man. We're in a really dicey landscape right now where we as fans and consumers sit back and go, oh man, I hated like college athletics. Like my favorite player is going to be at this school and then disappear just because of money. And like LSU is going to buy them all up. What kind of standard are we setting when a 52-year-old man who it like brings these kids in and creates this family? Because A&M loved each other, right? Like Jay Slaviolette's getting a lot of hate right now. What's he supposed to do? Like what kind of like example are you setting? So I think that's almost like you're setting this back like a decade of opening Pandora's box. Well, how do we put it together? Like, well, now you just threw it out and threw a stick of dynamite in there and it's got messier.
Yeah. I think it's very hard for anybody to disagree with anything you just said. Certainly, Kahn and I share many of those sentiments. All right, Jack, you've been flipping awesome, man. We appreciate you so much, all the time you've given us. Pump your sponsors. You mentioned Home Field Apparel. I know they help so much in helping to get you to Omaha and all the incredible merch that they've been putting out, but there's a few others too as well that help to fuel your 26-hour trip back home in that luxurious RV of yours. So
you did. You even called it the Teal Ninja earlier.
Yeah, the Teal Ninja.
You're the best. The Teal Ninja was brought to you by Harmony Sports. Now, those guys are actually Harmony Sports is a really cool customization company, bats, jerseys, batting gloves. But he was actually the guy that owned the team in Wyoming that I went and worked for. So he's been like the ultimate, like he's the ultimate entrepreneur, and that doesn't necessarily come natural to me as I created this brand. So he's been such a cool, like, yo, chase it. Anything I can do to help, I got you. So he's been.
Dude, he's like the lead to your pencil.
Oh, it's like you guys do this for a damn living. I see you guys. Let's go. I'll see you on CBS Sports. Put these guys on. Yeah, he is the lead. He is without question the lead to the pencil. Best of the best. So Harmony Sports, they're fantastic. You mentioned Home Field Apparel. All kidding aside, do you guys ever go to like Goodwill or like TJ Maxx or Ross growing up and you're just going?
I still do, bro.
Yeah. It's the best. Well, no more. You go to home field apparel. You go and get the most random. We play home field roulette, and you'll just roll, and then find a random team, and that's who I get that week. Like, it's awesome. I've spent hundreds of dollars. That's not even like a shout out, free shout out. Like, I just actually love their stuff, and I like the vintage look. I feel like I could go for a little bit more vintage in the baseball village in Omaha, but yeah, I'm a big fan. And then Sucker Punch, these guys, most electrolytes. You see that product placement really quick?
Oh yeah,
but they are fantastic. Like, Blake Burke fell in love with them because there are some guys that, like, it is pickle juice. Like, it's just straight. It looks like a shot. Like a mini bottle. It's not the case, but those guys were fantastic. And then Chinook seeds, they're freaking best seeds on the planet, and they're doing such a cool job. Like, title sponsor, the Golden Spikes, like really making an emphasis of pushing the game. So kind of like you guys, man. I appreciate you guys letting me come on and rattle a little bit. You can see how carried away I get sometimes. And
dude, here's the thing. I'm just glad you could talk. We just want you to talk and talk. Like, people want more of you. Okay, they want less of us.
No,
again, shouts 11.7 and certainly your partnership with them, but I need more Jack. All right. I need more Jack. So I wanted to make sure you had as much time as possible to just share all the beautiful splendors of what it is in your conquests of this sport.
Schass, do you want more Jack Caglione or more Jack DeLongchamps?
God, now this is a Jack dilemma of all. Like,
Schass is obsessed with Cags.
I got to lean Cags.
He loves Cags. Yeah,
dude. What do you mean lean? I'd throw myself off a bridge to just watch more Cags. Are you kidding?
I put Cags on the map. Okay, first year in Hoover 3 years ago when he was just recently inserted into the lineup. Over the last month of the regular season, interviewed him down on the field after one of the games, and fell in love with him from there. And his star just continued. I mean, he's still ascending towards the moon at this point, and it all started with our interaction at the Hoover Met 3 years ago.
I was going to say, we're talking about leaving first impressions. Quite the footprint. Size 17 digging into the box in Hoover. This dude is a freak, man. Where's he going in the draft?
Oh, God.
Know, I mean, he's
top five?
He's top five, but I don't.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not draft guy. I know you and some of the others salivate over all that stuff. I can't keep up with it because of the money assigned to certain positions and drafting more on need than any other sport. Like, Condon's not a lock for number one. It depends, what moves are going to be made at the top. So it's where do you think he goes? Oh, no. Right now our internet will start to fail us.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, wait. Hold on.
Oh, shaky.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Let's nail the dismount. Let's nail the dismount. Where does Cags get drafted? And then we'll say goodbye to you, good sir, and you can go to sleep.
I like it. You see how shaky? I got shaky because the earthquake was happening, because there's no reason in the world. He's top 2 and he's hell not 2. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
He hits 500-foot homers and throws 100 from the left side. That was manifest destiny shaking up my Wi-Fi going, oh, I can hear the Giants stepping in the background. There's only one answer. It's big 1-4. I don't claim to be one of the draft guys either, though. Like, I understand there's, like, you're not picking position. You're just not taking – it's all about money and, like, how you allocate it. I think it's dumb. That guy's a freak. He's Jack Tani for a reason, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I agree. As long as he doesn't go to the White Sox, I'm fine. I don't want a reason to have to pretend to like the Sox for some reason as a Cubs fan from Chicago. So, Jack, you've been awesome, man. Follow him on Twitter at J DeLongchamps. That's DeLongs, DeLongchamps, DeLongchamps, Jack DeLongchamps on Twitter, on X. Pencil Talk, man, for 11.7 flops on the ground. You've been great, dude. Appreciate it so much. Keep it up. Get some rest, and we'll catch up soon, all right?